Alright everyone, we start off talking again about Biden's ineptitude. My apologies for so many videos on the subject, but, I could probably do 4 videos a day on the topic. Between the inept policymaking and the gaffes, it'd be at least 2 or 3 videos on the average day. And keep in mind, this is from someone who still has not done a single live Q&A presser, and presumably won't for the immediate future because they're trying to literally hide the dude because he's fucking demented. Anyway, link in the description to this story. It's about migrant facilities. But first, keep in mind there will be a pinned comment. If you're watching on YouTube, I use 4 other video hosting sites, and only 2 of my videos each day now are on YouTube. The other 2, and the former 2, all 4 of those are on other sites. That's because I cover slightly spicier topics, I have more free speech, and I'm also trying to incentivize people to go to YouTube's competitors, specifically because in the lack of significant competition, YouTube is going down the dark path of deviating from its initially fairly pro-free speech values, and I think that that's regrettable. Anyway, as I said, link in the description, archived of course. Migrant facilities on the southern border are massively over capacity, and it's becoming a literal humanitarian crisis. Now I wonder, what could have caused this? Could it be that Joe Biden insinuated on TV, hey, if you come to this country illegally, we're basically just going to process you for a few days and then we're going to turn you loose, maybe even resettle you in communities if you're seeking asylum, which is not even a legitimate claim for most of these people now because of the actions of Honduras, actually. We'll basically, put you in whatever communities we think need to be enriched. That's literally a Biden policy now. Under Trump, this wasn't a problem. It was made clear that if a person came to the country illegally, they would attempt to deport them. They were no longer going to just process them and then turn them loose randomly. The idea that you can't figure out the origin country in most cases is not true. And you had these caravans prior of sometimes tens of thousands of people, and it was swamping the border situation. Keep in mind there are still kids in cages right now. And when you're at 700% capacity for one of these facilities, and I shit you not, again, look at it for yourself, just in one facility in Texas, you've got a huge overflow of kids. You don't have the resources to deal with the situation. You're going to have to massively cut down the processing times and the risk that you run into. And Biden considers this to be a good thing, I guess, humanitarian and lovely and diverse and tolerant and shit, very progressive. You have to shorten the processing time. You're not necessarily going to always be able to tell that that child isn't being released into the custody of someone who's trafficking them, or who at the very least is not legitimately a relative. I would think that that's important. I would think that making sure that kids that come across, if they're going to be in the country, at the very least are safe in the country. It kind of defeats the purpose of walking across 500 fucking miles of Mexico or more to come to a new country because you're trying to escape persecution or like cartel violence, unsafe situations, poverty. If you're only going to be in a situation where arguably in some cases it'll be worse. You end up in a sweatshop working, 6 days a week for, 10 cents an hour or something, sewing, clothes that end up, labeled made in China and shipped to Walmart, picking fruit out in the hot sun or something for 12 hours a fucking day. How is that, for kids and shit, how is that a better life? In some cases, they're being literally trafficked by gangs. Biden is going to have to, unfortunately, shorten the processing times to take care of this overflow. That will probably happen at an accelerated rate. And you watch what'll happen. When the reports come out, belatedly of course, that this has been going on, the Democrats will find a way to justify it. They will find a way to defend Beijing Biden. Well, he couldn't have known. There were so many people waiting lined up because, Trump wouldn't take them, so there was a huge overflow at first. It's not our fault. We did the best thing that we could. We couldn't let people sit there and, in massively crowded conditions. It would be literally illegal if U.S. prisoners, of all people, were subjected to them. So we had no choice. We had to start letting people go. And when few traffickers slipped through the cracks, we're really sorry. Now, they'll shove the report. They'll brush it under the rug. The MSM will for the Democratic Party if that comes out before the midterms. Trust me. I would like to see AOC go and do a photo shoot there. You remember when she went to the migrant facility there and she was standing by the fence out in front of the parking lot pretending to be really sad, and it went very viral, and then you had like mini AOC, which was hysterical, and all this shit. Is she going to do this again? Are we going to get another moment where Schumer and other Democrats in the Senate go to one of these facilities and put their hands up on the chain link fence and take a knee and say, we show solidarity with these poor people. They're being mistreated. They're still in cages. They are. The facilities are being literally expanded to deal with the massive overflow. How is this helpful to the people migrating? Something like, I think the statistic was 40% of females who are making this journey are raped along the way, or rather sexually assaulted, and like 1 in 5 is raped. Some of these people end up, they disappear from the caravan. They just end up in local slave markets. You do realize that human slavery exists. It's not legal in the U.S., but there are plenty of countries where the government will look the other way or is too powerless to do anything. Trust me, Mexico is definitely one of them. If you have to fucking walk all the way from the jungles of the Yucatan up to the Badlands, fucking and cross in Arizona or California or Texas or something, you've seen some shit. That's quite a journey, and there's plenty of opportunities for you to be brought into a cartel. I say, hey, you don't have to go to the United States. We've got money. Yeah, you can get a job. You might have to shoot somebody or cut their head off and pile their dead body on a pike on the highway overpass as a warning to the local sheriff's office. But we've got a job for you, kid. Here's some. We'll pay you in cocaine. You won't even need food at some point. Be mummified from the inside out by all the drugs we'll feed you. Hey, we'll give you a lot of money if you'll just stuff this condom full of coke or heroin or something in your ass and walk across the border. Beijing Biden's not really going to be checking you much because there's so much of an overflow. If they catch you at all, you're probably fine. So here's $100 reward as your entry into the United States. Now, we'll give you $1,000. Swallow all of the cocaine condoms. Oh, one burst and you died? Who cares? Now, they'd be enslaved anyway. Probably get there and they get shot the second they poop the drugs out, by the way, so it's not a good idea, just in case anyone gets some bright idea that they're going to make some Sinaloa money illegally immigrating. Biden has really screwed the pooch on this, and from day one, people were warning it was a bad idea to stop construction of the rest of the border wall, which was already funded, to restore catch and release, to have to expand these facilities. What a remark of the failure of Biden's administration, fake bleeding hard as though it is towards external threats, and say, well, come one, come all. Anyone can come into the United States. Yeah. Doesn't matter if there's a safe third country. You can seek asylum anywhere. We're going to literally ignore our own international conventions that we signed on to. We're going to shove you in this facility where you sit and we process you for a few days because, you literally don't even have room to stand half the time. And then bye. Go do what you want. Oh, here's your relative, 12-year-old kid from Honduras. Here's your relative. He claims to be your uncle. Oh, you say he's not your uncle and you're scared of him? Sorry, we don't have room in the goddamn facility. We're not going to sit... Oh, you freeloading commie? We're not going to sit there and feed you in this facility for more than a week. And we determined that this is your uncle. Does he have any paperwork? No. Genetic test? We don't even have time to fucking do it. They don't even have time to do COVID tests. Beijing Biden, less than 2 weeks ago, was talking about the possibility of closing Florida off from travel to the rest of the continental United States based on DeSantis' very wise decision not to have coronavirus lockdowns. Well, maybe we need to restrict travel to and from Florida. Meanwhile, we can't even administer COVID tests to people coming illegally into the country. There shouldn't even, by the way, be a national debate over this. We should close the border, and illegal immigration is illegal. I like it when they use the term migrant facilities. These are not migrants. These are illegal immigrants. There is a difference, believe it or not. Migrant tends to refer to people who come to do part-time labor. It's a legal thing. There's a lot of migrant labor, by the way, on a yearly basis in Vermont. During the tourist season, migrants especially from East Europe and Jamaica come in and work in restaurants and also in farms during the harvest for apples and stuff like that. It's very common, because there aren't a lot of people native to Vermont that would be willing to get those wages for that kind of work. There's not enough people trained for the restaurants, wait staff and shit like that need to be hired. And it's legal. That's a migrant. These people are not migrating to the United States for temporary work in order to send back remittances to their family. These are people who are in squalor in their home countries and want to be resettled in the United States. There's too many of them. We can't even process them all. A lot of these people are going to end up being trafficked, thanks to people like Joe Biden, who pretend on the surface he's like, well, care about these people. You're such a racist if you don't want these people to come and be Americans and eat apple pie just like you. Well, that's perfectly fine, but you can't do that if you end up enslaved, or shot by a coyote, or a cartel has recruited you and now you're a gang member and, yeah, okay, you're in the United States, in federal prison for the rest of your life. Wow, your life really improved. Now you get to make license plates for Uncle Sam instead of growing cocaine, processing cocaine out in the jungle somewhere. Yeah, American dream. That's the kind of American dream Biden wants. Fucking slavery. That's about all. Peace out.